There's a certain kind of person who walks into a room and sees what no one else bothers to look at. They notice the shift in someone's voice before the words even change. They catch the flicker of discomfort on a face that everyone else reads as a smile. They feel the tension between two people sitting side by side and pretending everything is fine. These are the ones who notice too much. The ones who can't stop reading the room even when they desperately want to. The ones who carry other people's unspoken feelings like weight on their own chest. But if you've ever been one of them, you know it's not a superpower. Because noticing too much isn't just about awareness. It's about absorption. It's about seeing the cracks in everything, including yourself. It's both a gift and an open wound. And to understand people who notice too much, you have to understand what it costs to see what others are protected from by simply not looking. Most people think noticing too much is just anxiety wearing a different name. But for someone who notices everything, it's not nervousness. It's how their mind was built to read the world. They don't just walk into a room, they feel the energy shift when someone's mood has changed. They hear the pause before a lie. They catch the way a person's smile tightens just slightly when they say they're fine. They read what's underneath before anyone even speaks what's on top. A handshake becomes a character study. A change in someone's texting pattern becomes a signal. A shift in tone during a phone call becomes a full story they'll carry for hours. This isn't paranoia. It's perception running at a frequency most people are simply not tuned to. Psychologically speaking, people who notice too much have what researchers call sensory processing sensitivity, a nervous system that is wired to take in more information than average, not just sights and sounds, but emotional data, social cues, the invisible architecture of how people relate to each other. They're constantly reading the room, not because they're anxious, but because their brain treats every environment like a story that needs to be understood before it can be trusted. This is linked to heightened activity in areas of the brain responsible for empathy and awareness, the same regions that light up during deep emotional processing, pattern recognition, and intuition. So the mind of someone who notices too much is a radar that never turns off, constantly receiving, constantly interpreting, constantly mapping the emotional weather of every room they enter. But this same ability can be exhausting because while others walk through a conversation and forget it by dinner, someone who notices too much is still carrying it. They caught the moment someone's voice dropped. They saw the look that passed between two people when no one else was watching. And now they're sitting with information they never asked for, replaying it, wondering what it meant. And the people around them have no idea. They just see someone quiet, someone distant, someone who seems lost in thought. When really, they're drowning in detail. A person who notices too much doesn't just want to be around people. They want to feel safe around them. They crave the kind of connection where they don't have to monitor every shift in energy, where they can finally stop scanning and just exist beside someone without translating every silence. But that kind of safety is rare for them, because while most people walk through a room and see furniture, faces, and small talk, someone who notices too much walks through the same room and sees tension, history, and everything no one is saying out loud. But that awareness comes with a price. It often turns inward. They start replaying interactions, questioning whether someone's tone meant disappointment, whether a cancelled plan was personal, whether the pause in a reply carried something heavier than just being busy. Their mind becomes a courtroom where every small moment is brought to trial. Not because they're insecure, but because they've been trained by their own perception to trust detail over surface. There's a concept psychologists call hypervigilance, a state where the nervous system stays on alert far longer than necessary, scanning for threats even in safe environments. Most people experience it only in crisis. People who notice too much live inside it daily. It's like having a smoke detector that goes off at the smell of toast, always activated, always reading the room for something that might go wrong. This makes them extraordinarily perceptive, but also quietly exhausted. Because when you notice everything, you also notice every reason to doubt whether you're safe enough to stop noticing. Now let's create a loop here. Because you might be wondering if someone who notices too much is constantly reading other people. Does anyone ever notice them back? Does anyone ever look closely enough to see what's happening behind all that watching? Hold on to that thought, because I'll come back to it. But first, we need to explore something even more curious. Why people who notice too much don't just see what others miss on the outside, but often see too clearly what's broken on the inside, in themselves. Here's the paradox. The same eyes that can read everyone else's pain often go blind to their own worth. But here's where noticing too much turns against itself. The same awareness that lets you read a room can also make you misread it. Because when your mind is constantly scanning, it doesn't just pick up what's real. It starts filling in gaps that may not even exist. You read disappointment into a neutral face. You hear rejection in a pause that was just someone thinking. You turn a friend's cancelled plan into proof that you're being slowly abandoned. It's like having a radio that picks up every frequency at once. Signal and static become impossible to separate, and you start trusting the static as much as the signal. So that's the cost. You notice too much. And sometimes that noticing invents its own evidence. But here's where it gets even deeper. Because in a world that rewards quick reactions, easy answers, and surface-level confidence, people who notice too much learn something painful very early. That their depth makes other people uncomfortable. Picking up on what someone is hiding can look like confrontation. Reading a room too accurately can look like manipulation. Seeing through someone's mask can look like judgment. So they learn to hide it. They stop saying what they see. They stop pointing out what they feel. They start performing a simpler, lighter version of themselves, one that doesn't make the room tense up. They nod along when they've already seen the fracture. They laugh at the right moments while quietly carrying the weight of everything no one else noticed. And after everyone leaves, that's when the real processing begins. Alone, in silence, carrying information no one asked them to hold. There's a particular kind of loneliness in that. Not the loneliness of having no one around, but the loneliness of being surrounded by people and knowing none of them see you the way you see them. They crave connection, real connection, the kind where they don't have to pretend they noticed less than they did. But that kind of connection requires someone willing to be truly seen. And most people aren't ready for that. And maybe that's the part no one expects. Because here's the paradox. People who notice too much don't just notice what's wrong. They also notice what's almost right. And that's where the real pain lives. When they finally let someone in, it's not halfway, it's all the way. They'll remember the exact thing you said 3 months ago that revealed who you really are. They'll notice the one moment your guard dropped, and they'll hold that version of you as the truest one. Because people who notice too much don't do shallow bonds, but that same depth can backfire. Because when you see people that clearly, you expect them to see you back. You assume that the attention you give is the attention you'll receive. But not everyone notices the way you do. So when reality falls short, it doesn't just disappoint, it wounds. Not because they're fragile, but because they gave the kind of attention most people don't even know exists. To someone who notices too much, even a small shift in tone feels like distance. Even a single moment of being truly seen can feel like home. Everything registers. And that's the double-edged sword. They feel the weight of things that others walk right past. The way someone's energy changes when a certain name is mentioned. The way a friend stops texting the way they used to. The way someone says, "I'm happy for you," while their eyes say something entirely different. They don't just see what people show, they see what people are trying to hide. That is not a flaw. That is love expressed as attention so precise it becomes almost unbearable to carry alone. Now let's come back to that question we left open. Does anyone ever notice them back? Does anyone ever look closely enough to see what's happening behind all that watching? To answer that, we need to go back to where this pattern was born. Imagine a child who saw everything before they had the language to explain it. Maybe they noticed the tension between their parents before anyone said a word. Maybe they felt the shift in a room's energy and learned to adjust themselves before anyone asked. Maybe they picked up on sadness in a parent's face and decided quietly to become the easy child, the one who didn't add to the weight. That child learned something that day, that noticing is a responsibility, that seeing too much means carrying too much, and that carrying quietly is the safest way to love. Fast forward, that child is now 25, or 35, or 50, and the pattern is still running. This is why noticing too much can feel almost nostalgic. It carries echoes of a time when you were small, and the world was loud, and the only way to feel safe was to read every room before you entered it. And that habit isn't random. Neurologically, the pathways formed in childhood hypervigilance don't disappear. They stay active, scanning, protecting, reading, long after the original danger is gone. It is your nervous system still whispering, "Watch carefully. If you see it coming, maybe it won't hurt as much this time." But here is what that younger version of you could never have known. You were not broken for noticing too much. You were adapted. And the watching, the reading, the constant awareness, it was never a flaw. It was the inner child still whispering, "I wanted someone to notice me. I wanted someone to see me the way I see everyone else. I wanted to stop watching long enough to be held." And maybe that's what makes this awareness so quietly important. Not because it needs to be silenced, but because it's asking for the first time to be held instead of used. Maybe healing doesn't look like learning to notice less. Maybe it looks like finally allowing yourself to admit, "I am exhausted from carrying what no one asked me to carry." Maybe it looks like placing your own hand over your chest in a quiet room and giving yourself the same attention you've been giving everyone else your entire life. It is the longing to stop scanning, to stop reading, to simply exist, without needing to understand the room before you can relax in it. So the next time you catch yourself noticing what no one else sees, welcome it. Sit with it as if it were an old companion bringing news from a younger version of you. Listen to what it carries. It may carry the exhaustion of a lifetime of watching. It may carry the grief of never being watched back. It may simply ask you to rest, to stop reading the room, and to let the room hold you for once. And though it may feel heavy, remember that heaviness is not here to overwhelm you. It is here to slow you down long enough to finally see yourself. Because at its core, noticing too much is not about anxiety. It is about truth. It is about caring so deeply that your mind became a guard for everyone around you. It is about giving yourself the permission to turn that same care inward. And through that, it is about becoming whole. Not by seeing less, but by finally being seen. So if today you find yourself noticing what no one else sees, don't apologize for it. Don't shrink your awareness to make others comfortable. Don't punish yourself for seeing what the world wasn't ready to show you. Sit with it. Breathe with it. Let it remind you of who you've always been. For in that noticing lives your empathy, your honesty, and your quiet, unshakable depth. Noticing too much is not the end of peace. It is the doorway that allows peace to return, not as numbness, but as something earned, something real,